Welcome back to the ranking of video game movies, the S Rank Media Club. I'm here with Kudrow and Colton,
Hello.
and we'll be
Yo.
ranking Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the second one from 2003, The Cradle of Life. And there's lots of similarities between the first and the second one, in my opinion. But for a quick little kind of opening, Lara Croft is played by Angelina Jolie, and then the love interest is played by Gerard Butler.
Terry Sheridan.
Which, yes, I thought that was kind of cool. But anyway,
Like the name?
Adventure Lara Croft. No, the actor.
No.
Gerard Butler.
Big Gerard Butler fan, Kudrow.
Yeah,
I
he's a
guess
cool guy.
I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair.
What his other favorite Gerard Butler movies are 27 Dresses and P.S. I Love You. Is he in
What?
20? Hold on, I gotta confirm if Gerard Butler's in.
No, he's in. I don't know if it's 27 Dresses. It's,
He's not in 27 Dresses. That's a lie. I don't know why I thought that.
No, I know the rom-com though.
P.S. I
Quinn's
Love You?
talking about The Ugly Truth. Is
I
that
don't
Alright.
it?
remember what it's called.
We'll come back to Gerard
And
Butler.
we need to
later.
get to Tomb Raider. We need to get to Tomb Raider here. Adventurer Lara Croft goes on a quest to save the mythical Pandora's box before an evil scientist finds it and recruits a former Marine turned mercenary to assist her. So that's kind of the premise. Some more supernatural, mythical kind of ideas and artifacts going on in this movie as well. Let's get into the plot. The film begins on Santorini Island in Greece during a wedding, and it's interrupted by kind of an earthquake or a landslide where rocks fall into the ocean. Then we get a cool title sequence made out of the falling rocks. And then this earthquake, I'm assuming, it doesn't really make it clear, but I'm assuming it unearths this underwater temple, or this temple that was lost.
That's what I'm assuming too.
Which is
because I agree.
Alexander the Great.
Not clear.
Yeah. Right. It's called the Luna Temple, and Alexander the Great built it to house his most prized treasures away from his the library in Alexandria, right? I think they say that. And among those treasures is a glowing orb with a pattern resembling a code etched into it. And so kind of the beginning of the movie, after the earthquake, we get this Tomb Raider-esque. Lara Croft comes in, skimpy outfit on her jet ski, and does like some, I don't know, some professional tricks on her jet ski. And yeah,
She does a barrel roll.
so you get the views, and then yeah. Turns out there's a lot of Tomb Raiders also hunting for this temple, or they're not sure what they're looking for, I guess. And Lara Croft comes in. She's like, I know what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for because of, I don't know, she found a map or something like that. And she's working with these other treasure hunters. And so then they end up figuring out that the currents of the ocean or the sea changed. And so all of these treasure hunters are looking in the wrong spot. So Lara Croft's like, I know the exact spot. So they go there, they dive down, and they end up finding the temple. And so they get in there and they see all this gold. So then the two like treasure hunters obviously go for the gold. Lara Croft is interested in that orb that I mentioned. And so she goes up to try and get it. She pulls out like a welding rig to like unstick it from whatever it was being held by. And as that happens, there's these mercenaries that kind of surface and nobody notices them, but they have spear guns. And then there's like a battle that or not a battle, more of like a chase that ensues. They kill the two treasure hunters. And then obviously Lara Croft doesn't get the orb, or there's also a medallion that was she was trying to get as well, which will come later down the road. She doesn't end up getting either of those, but she escapes. And some of the mercenaries die, I believe, but the mercenaries end up getting the orb and the medallion. So that's kind of the opening scene, sets the stage for, what we're looking at here. And us as the audience, we really don't have any idea of what's going on at this point.
Yeah, just
So then the next,
a lot of people just shooting and
right. So then we get this scene where it introduces the villain. He's this, I don't know, bio agent, bioweapon guy
yeah.
who like has created all these bioweapons, and he's on the airplane explaining to all his clients that he's found this new bioweapon and you need to pay him so you can have it, essentially. So he's trying to sell this bioweapon that he doesn't have yet. And it turns out that one of the buyers sold him out to the MI6, and he makes a big spectacle about killing him and, all the evil, you can't fool me, like I know what you're doing type of thing. And so that introduces MI, kind of moves into the next portion. They show up at Lara Croft's door, because Lara Croft doesn't really have, I keep saying Lara Croft doesn't have any idea of, who the mercenaries were and where the orb is now. So MI6 obviously shows up and they're like, we know where the orb is. We need you to do it. So it's had by these, I think Shaling, I want to say.
Yeah, they're sorry, I have it written down here.
They're
They're
like
called
mercenaries or
The Shaling.
treasure
Yeah.
hunt, Shaling, yeah, black market, essentially black market smugglers, which are like impossible to find apparently. And so, in order to find them, she asks MI6 to release this mercenary who she obviously has a past with. And at first, it's like, no way, like we'd never do that. Obviously, they let her do it. So we go to, I believe, my guess is Siberia or something like that, some high security prison in the cold blizzard area, I don't know, mountains. And they exchange words, and she promises him that, MI6 will provide money and freedom if he helps her. And also kind of on the back burner, we get some kind of more story of the Shaling, and they're transporting the orb around. And they didn't want to give it to Rice, who is the villain. They didn't want to give it to him right away because they weren't sure how much it was worth. They end up finding that, if all these people want it, then maybe they could sell it for more than what Rice was going to give it to them for. So that's kind of happening in the background. Anyway, so they team up, and Terry is like, I know where they're at. They're in China. Like, we can't go into China without being seen by the Shaling. And Lara Croft's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, she's very like not mystical, but like
just knows everything.
Yeah, like secretive, and like has everything set up ready to go, while the audience is like, how the fuck did you like know that you were gonna land here?
Yeah,
and you were
speaks every language, like
right.
knows somebody everywhere she lands. It's
right.
her like it's amazing how many people she knows and how many languages she speaks.
Right. So they take some like weird flying pod in, and then they eject right when it smashes into a mountain, so the Shaling won't suspect that they're in the country, I guess.
Oh, jeez.
And then they pick up some weapons and motorcycles, and then they take the motorcycles, and we get this weird like flirty motorcycle scene where they're like trying to outdo each other on BMX bikes.
Did that not feel like? Did you feel like you were watching like a teenage Disney Channel drama?
Right.
Like I just
Yeah.
like it just like motocrossed, wasn't that like the
Oh, that sounds about right, yeah. They're like, she's like doing a wheelie, and he's like, oh, like I'll do like a cool jump and I'll land right in front of you. Anyway, so then they ride their BMX bikes up to this mountain, and then they're like, okay, now we need to go by foot. So they're just walking, and then they get surrounded by the Shayling, and then comes to find out, Terry's like, well, the only way to find them is to get captured by them. So they get captured, and then the leader, I forget his name, doesn't really matter, because he ends up dying anyway. So who cares?
Spoilers.
Right. Like wants to talk to Lara Croft about, selling it to her. I don't know.
Some other villain
Work,
party.
right. I don't know. Like figuring
Yeah.
out what he's gonna do with his orb, essentially. And then he's showing off his terracotta soldiers. And then Lara Croft's like, well, I need the orb. So then they have a big battle, and he destroys all the terracotta soldiers. I'm like, this guy's destroying, I don't even know how much money right here, just destroying terracotta soldiers. Turns out he doesn't have the orb. Instead of killing him, she asks for information about the orb. He tells her the orb will be in Shanghai at some, I don't know, pagoda for a drop off. So then they're like leaving, but then he shoots at her, and then they escape. So, and Terry like fights his way out of 3 or 4 different, I don't know, bodyguards. And then there's actually kind of a pretty cool scene where they like slide down the rope upside down, and they're like shooting people while they're sliding down the ropes. But yeah, another chase scene. Then we
We know
cut to
Colton loves
Shanghai,
those.
right? Then we cut to Shanghai, and they're there for the drop off. Obviously, Rice, the villain, instead of meeting there, I don't know, on foot, comes in on a helicopter, which didn't make sense to me that they would just allow a giant ass helicopter just to descend into this residential dense area. Anyway, so Terry and Lara are trying to figure out a way to hijack the orb. There's a big fight sequence. Rice gets the orb and kills the guy that gives it to him. But then Laura like does a crazy pole vault move to jump onto the helicopter. I don't know what they're called, guardrails or the under rails of the
Right.
helicopter.
Yeah.
And then she puts a tracker on the box. And this leads to what I think is the stupidest part of the movie, where she pulls up the tracker right after, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, they're in Hong Kong."
Yeah.
And I was
Also,
like, "What?"
also that same scene where she falls into that truck and the guys just drive away and leave her there.
Right.
Well, I don't understand. Then they yeah, because that right after that they're like, yeah, she escaped or something. She was right there and you just left.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, the tracking thing was the stupidest thing in my opinion. It was like, oh, she put a tracker on it, and then she pulls it up on her phone, and then she's like, oh yeah, it's in Hong Kong now. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure you can't just teleport in a helicopter from Shanghai to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Like, there's no information on the box that's going to tell you where they're going. Anyway, they obviously have the tracker, so then they follow it to Hong Kong. They can't find it. Turns out it's underground. They figure that out. It's in like a mall, like a, I don't know, shopping mall, I guess you call it. And then they had like been working out of a mall stall, I guess. I don't know, a shop.
Yeah.
To try and decode the orb. And so it's just so happens that Rice is leaving as they're going in. No planning at all. So they go in, and then they kind of set the alarms off, I think, to get everybody out. So then Laura can go and take more pictures of the orb.
Right.
So that I'm forgetting his name, Hillary and
Hillary and Bryce.
Bryce, yeah.
Yep.
Can
Bryce
decode
is the guy.
the orb. And that's where the medallion comes to play, which I forgot to mention Laura took from the Shayling guy. And turns out that the medallion is the key to the map, essentially. And apparently the map is vocal, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like an audio
doesn't really
map.
make sense to me.
Yeah,
an audio map. I don't know. Still doesn't make sense to me how that was used.
Real weird.
Right. But yeah, so then she's trying to take pictures, but then Rice and his henchmen come in, and there's a whole big battle. But Terry could have shot Rice and killed him, but didn't. But then they somehow escape with the orb and the medallion. And Terry is, has a whole escape plan set up. So they go up top to a construction building, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna jump off the building in our wingsuits, and we're gonna go, escape.
Land in this exact boat out in the
Right,
water
right,
that's moving.
right. So they escape, and yeah, they land on the boat, and then there's this weird like intimate like seduction scene where Laura like
Oh,
starts
right.
like seducing Terry, and then she handcuffs him because she doesn't want to have to kill him or something like that, because she knows that he's gonna like be greedy, or I don't know,
Can't trust him.
be mercenary-ish.
Had
I
to,
don't
had
know.
to, had to lock
Right,
him back up.
right. And then Laura leaves, and then she just comes in the morning onto some family's boat and was like, "Can I steal your TV?" And they're just like very gracious. They're like, "Oh yeah, of course, like go for it." And they're watching SpongeBob, and then it just so happens that the little girl is chewing gum also for breakfast. So she uses the gum from the kid to set up her camera on top of the TV, so then she can take the orb and show it to Brady and or sorry, not Brady, Bryce and
Hillary.
Hillary.
Yeah.
Right. Um, but I think it just so happens that Rice had picked up her earpiece back in the
Mhm.
lab, and
Mhm.
he had the idea, oh, I'll just go to Laura's estate and hold them hostage and wait for Laura to call in. So Laura, I don't remember what exactly happens, but she picks up the orb, and it starts like showing her images of where she needs to
Right.
go, which she somehow surmises in Africa, in this specific spot near
Yeah.
Mount
Right.
Kilimanjaro. So then she relays the message to Bryce and Hillary and is like, I need to go to Kilimanjaro and, talk to Kosa, who's like a local guy that she's has relationship with or has worked with before. So come to find out, Rice is there with Bryce and Hillary, and then they're obviously going to go to Africa as well. So this is where it kind of picks up with like the final scene of the movie. Laura parachutes into a moving Jeep, which Kosa is driving, and they end up going to the exact right spot and talking to these indigenous people. And at first they're like, no, like we won't help you find the Cradle of Life. But then Laura explains that the evil man's going to come and try and steal Pandora's box and open it up. So they're like, okay, but we're going to come with you. So yeah, so then they start their trek, and then all of a sudden a helicopter comes down, and just men with guns just come and kill all the indigenous people. And then Lara is taken into custody with Kosa, and then Rice makes them, follow the rest of the path essentially. And I think there's nothing between where they see the shadow warriors, right? Between when
No,
they
I
get
think
caught.
yeah, right. Because that basically from then they're going through that weird magic forest
Wasteland,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, I thought the Shadow Warriors were actually kind of cool. Like, I thought that was like a cool idea.
They just prepped you with the rest of the movie so that part could look cool. That's why.
Right. Yeah. So they're walking through it, and then these Shadow Warriors come out and they start killing the armed guards. Apparently, we learned that if you move, they'll come for you, essentially. So it was kind of cool because they grab you and then they kind of drag you into the shadow, sort of thing, and kill you, obviously. So then kind of everybody's stuck there and like doesn't know what to do. And then Laura sees this like, I don't know, weird like hill. Looked like an ant hill to me. I don't know. Over in the clearing area. And she's like, obviously I have to put the orb in there. So she puts the orb in there and it opens up the ground to the Cradle of Life. Rice and Laura are kind of, I don't know, they start kind of scuffling a little bit down there. And then they see the Pandora's box, which is in a vat or like a bowl of acid, black acid. Apparently it's Pandora's tears because when she opened the box for the first time, she started crying tears of black acid. So Laura's trying to get away from Rice while Rice is trying to make Laura get the box so she doesn't, make a mistake and die. And I kind of forget what happens.
She
They
like
kind of
gave
have this
him
like fist fight, right?
she gave him the old hezzy hay and then threw him into the black acid.
Right.
And then
He's in the black acid.
yeah. And then Gerard Butler, Terry Sheridan shows up. And then
Right.
Terry Sheridan's like, "Hey, this is ours, right? We get this." And
Right.
then she's like, "No, we have to leave it."
Right.
Actually, doesn't he like punch her or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he like
Yeah, so he like the way she kills him is he punches her and then she lands on a gun without him noticing. And then she stands up and she's like,
right.
no, like we can't take it. And then right before
Right.
Terry's about to shoot her,
Yeah.
there's a gunshot and the audience is like, oh no, who shot who? And obviously Terry dies.
Right.
Excuse me. But yeah, from I think it's IMDb, it says, despite her love for him, this results in Laura being forced to fatally shoot him in self-defense just after Terry draws his own gun, preparing to shoot Laura. And then Laura almost opens the box. She essentially did open the box, like there's light coming out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's like, nah, like I just killed Terry. Why would I open the box?
Right.
Yeah, that scene made no sense to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're like trying to make her seem like human or I don't know, but to me that didn't make sense. So then she throws the box back in the acid.
Yeah.
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 And then
man.
yeah. And then the end of the movie is kind of they're back with the indigenous people and they're like, and she's like, some things aren't meant to be fine to the leader. And then I think Hillary and Bryce were like being prepped to get married or something like that, and they didn't realize, and then they book it out of there, and yeah, that's kind of the end. They drive off into the sunset.
Yeah, this movie was a slog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was a two-parter for me, for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I watched it over 2 days. I started watching it one day, and I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep. I gotta stop. Wow, nothing has any reasoning whatsoever. Lara Croft just knows everything all the time for just because. Like you were saying, Quinn, like she sees the images out of that thing and just knows exactly where to go.
Right.
Like, okay. Oh my god.
To me, it was essentially a carbon copy of the first.
Really?
Movie.
I thought this was significantly worse than the first one.
I would say significantly different.
Oh man, this made that other one look good. Uncharted. This made Uncharted look good.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I was seeing it for its. Yeah. Well, maybe I was seeing it for the tropes that it like, because it just had all the same tropes as the first one.
Yeah.
So I was like focused on that, I guess.
I guess you're not wrong about that. I feel like as like a movie watch, like the first one was way more bearable than this one for me. Like this one just everything just seems so stupid. It's like, why the hell? Like, it's like everywhere she goes, she can speak the language and she just knows somebody there. And like, what these wingsuits that we're gonna go fly onto this boat. Oh my god. The beginning, I had written down the notes, watch me flip this jet ski and look at my silver onesie. Her like silver wetsuit. Oh man. I mean, I get it. It was intentional. They're like, what kind of hot water clothing can we put on Lara Croft? And that's where they got. So okay.
I feel like the biggest problem with this movie, I know we're talking about the showing off Lara Croft and all of her figure, but I feel like this movie did it a lot less than the last movie.
She was wearing her hot pants the whole movie, Cujo. They're just like, what? How can we dress Lara Croft in all these different ways? But yeah, you're probably
towel
right.
scene too. The very beginning to me was like, oh, here we go again. She's in her Speedo and I don't know, just a
Um,
bra, and she's in the water. Like, I don't know. And then, yeah, yeah,
I
it didn't
don't
want to make
have
me watch.
yeah, I don't have a lot of good things to say about this movie. Um, I do have bad things to say about this movie. The underwater cruisers they were using, did you say they had windshields on those? They had little windshields like that didn't even come up to where their face was.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, speaking of I don't know, the underwater stuff, the
Yeah.
shark scene where she's like,
Oh,
"Oh, I'll
yeah.
cut myself
She
and then I'll ride the shark up to the top."
right, and she also punches the shark.
Right.
Yep.
That might have been the best part of the movie, actually, like, if we're actually retroactively thinking about it, like, maybe where she punched the shark was the most interesting thing.
Yeah, I don't know. To
It
me, like, I don't really want to talk about the movie anymore just because after
yeah.
going through all of that, it was a lot.
Is her punching a shark a meme somewhere?
Maybe.
I mean,
No,
Could be.
although to be fair, I think it does say like if you ever get attacked by a shark, I think one of the recommendations for it is like either punch it in the nose or attack its eye.
I gotcha. I
So,
just like,
well,
the nature of it was just like
it's still absurd.
yeah, and before that, inside that thing where she finds the orb, she shoots at a stone column and the stone column falls down. So that's it's pretty powerful handgun. Um,
Well, I guess in the defense, it didn't seem like the temple was in that good a condition when they entered it.
yeah,
Right.
but
An
yeah.
underwater temple that had survived without caving in for how long? Under how much water
With
pressure?
just a couple gunshots, though, will take that column down. Our villain guy says it's not nice to fool Mother Nature, but it's what I've been doing for a long time now. No idea what the fuck that's about. Um,
Well, the whole thing is that the dude is isn't the dude's like a biologist. I think like the it made mention like the poison that dude would like drank on the plane was like some like hyper advanced
oh,
weaponized Ebola.
I dude, I feel like this movie does such a terrible job of explaining anything, and it's just like these villainous characters that are just even like Lara's relationship with Terry. Like never like a word is not actually explained about what the hell the deal is. There's just nothing. I feel like nothing's ever like explained. The setups, there's no setup at all for anything. It's just this guy's a villain. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, Dr. Rice, like he is definitely your generic doomsday villain. I can't really say there's anything interesting about him other
Uh,
than actually the only thing interesting about him was just that I completely forgot this actor was in this movie. The dude who played oh god, what was his character's name? The king beyond the wall in Game of Thrones.
oh.
Hmm.
Oh, that's where I recognized him from. Good eye. I
Ah,
didn't
Mance Raider.
yeah,
That's his
yeah.
name.
I saw his face. I'm like, where do I know that guy from? Okay.
Yeah, I think to not to be fair, but to kind of explain it away, it is an action movie. So I think they spent a lot of time, going for the cool action sequences rather than delving into the deeper backstories of
Of anything.
the character relationships of
Yeah.
you know
I uh
yeah.
Yeah, but even with that though, it's like the movie's name is Tomb Raider. There was a remarkable lack of tomb raiding in this movie.
yeah.
Well, it's only in the beginning when in the Luna Temple. It's like other than that though, it's like tomb raiding need not apply.
Right. They had already hit, like, there was no steps to get to the final, no like tomb raiding steps. It was, oh, they just so happened to find the Luna Temple. This is where the treasure hunt ends, right? There's no more treasure hunt besides mapping it out, which you don't need to go anywhere else. You just needed
Right.
the orb and then the medallion, and then you could make it to wherever you needed to go.
Um Additionally, the accuracy of anyone in this movie shooting at like nearly point blank range, um, just missing.
Stormtroopers.
Yeah,
Yeah, about to say, I feel like that's a general trope.
Did you notice the slow motion parts where it would like go into this weird slow motion like for 5 seconds? There must have been 4 or 5 of them. Those were awful. There
I
was
didn't
like
notice.
there was like a couple spots where it would just go into this weird slow motion. Yeah,
I
so
don't remember.
I kind of feel like this movie, like one, I feel like it's still like the first one, like trying to mimic like Indiana Jones stuff, kind of like they want it to, but they also, I feel like they almost want it to be like a James Bond kind of movie, and like it's a bad one at that. It's a bad one of those. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
I hate this movie,
it's
and
pretty
no one
bad.
should watch it.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I think my final like words are it's just another movie to make Lara Croft look like a badass,
Yeah,
sexy
right.
person.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many scenes where that's the case for me.
Mhm.
But like when MI6 came, she's like riding a horse, shooting targets,
right.
moving targets.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Or the sliding down the rope, which I thought was kind of cool, but like stuff like that,
Mhm.
I don't know,
I
not
get it.
worth it to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
Kudra, any overarching final thought?
I mean, not really. Movie's pretty generic. There's a distinct lack of tomb rating. I mean, I was able to sit through I sat through the movie and watched it in one sitting. Like, I didn't think it was maybe that egregiously bad, but
Yeah.
this movie is definitely nothing. This movie is definitely nothing spectacular. It's very forgettable.
Do you want to be the first one to rank it then?
Oh, sure, why not? I mean, I don't know. I'm torn between a D and an E. I might.
I'm torn between E and F.
I feel like this movie is worse than the first one, which I'll give it an E. If the villain was even a little bit more interesting, or even like if Terry had been a little bit more interesting,
Yeah,
I
if
might.
if Gerard Butler was Daniel Craig, would this have been a better movie?
Oh, I mean, you know what? I feel like Gerard Butler, like, Daniel Craig got an opportunity to be like half naked on screen. There was no Gerard Butler half naked, so that right there, E.
Well, that's false, because he was doing upside down push-ups or pull-ups. I don't know what you want to call them in the what's it called, the prison.
Yeah, but I
Right?
think he still had his shirt on though, didn't he?
No, his shirt was off.
Bad lighting then. Not good enough to show off the form.
Maybe I should make like the thumbnail for these, like for the last one, I'll just make it a picture of Daniel Craig like shirtless in the shower, and then this one.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'll go with E. I feel like this movie is worse than the first one. You can pass on it.
Yeah, I'm very much that it's worse than the first one as well. I'm just debating how bad it is. Like it really upsets me how much there is like no setup to anything. And I want to give it an F. Like I'm trying to think if it has anything redeeming in it. And I don't think it does. I think this movie's it's an F. I'm gonna say it. I give Tomb Raider Cradle of Life an F.
Wow.
I can't.
Would you still rate it an F if you watched this one before the first one?
That's a good question. I think so. Like I just think I don't know why this one, the first one I feel like had a better plot line to it in a way. I'm not saying it was good, but I feel like this one had just
Would you say it had more tomb ratings?
yeah. Give it some bonus points for having Tomb rating. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think I have to go with E as well.
Gotcha.
Terrible movie.
All right, well, let's go
Unless
to
you want to watch Angelina Jolie show off her
There you
itself.
go. Yeah.
But I feel like the first one is even better for that. So
Well,
Right.
depends. I mean, if you're into the bathing suits and the silver onesies, this is your.
I,
There was a lot of vehicle maneuvering, right?
Whoops. Vehicle maneuvering.
Yeah, there was there was the horses, the
Oh,
horse,
right.
there was the
Yeah.
jet ski, there was the
Yeah.
BMX
She
bikes,
rides
like
motorcycles. Yeah.
right.
And shoots guns off her horse.
I mean, we did get sled dogs in the first one, so I don't know how high that ranks, but
All
anyway.
right. So I will concede that this can go. You guys both have this as an E. I have it in an F. I will concede this to the E tier above Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I would really.
I think it's better than Final Fantasy.
I also think it's better than Final Fantasy. Kudro, do you have any strong argument to this going above Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within?
Colton, you don't have a shred of integrity in your body, do you?
That's not a very strong argument, so I guess this goes
No.
above.
To be
Colton,
fair, he
you
did
cannot
rank them
make
both
an
F.
argument that this movie is better than Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. In no world is this movie better than Spirits Within.
You think Final Fantasy: Spirits Within is better than this movie?
Yes, that is what I just said.
Can you
So
tell me?
yes,
Can you tell me why that you think? Like, what is it? What makes Final Fantasy: Spirits Within a better movie than Tomb Raider: Cradle of Life?
I'm gonna have to spend the rest of the entirety of the time we do this show defending my ranking of Spirits Within, aren't I?
Or you could change it to an F like a normal person.
Let me see here. If I recall the rankings correctly, I don't even think Quinn ranked it in F. It was only you.
Yeah, I ranked it a D.
What'd you rank Tomb Raider?
An E.
Oh, so do you want Final Fantasy above Tomb Raider?
I think we had to put Final Fantasy above Tomb Raider to
All
stay
right.
true to our ranking system.
All right. Quinn wants to keep his D rating of Final Fantasy.
We can maybe we should designate a segment
Yeah,
week where we
to go back.
we look
Yeah.
at old rankings.
Yeah, all right. So Tomb Raider right now is below Final Fantasy. I don't like either of them. It's fine. They can hang out there down in the E tier.
A miscarriage of justice if I've ever seen one.
All right. Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Life is in the E tier.